Hello and welcome to another Navigate Tuesday Tips. This is Pam Keslauskas, and today we're going to be talking about terminating expired users in EIV and withdrawing access or terminating access. Expired users, people that are listed in EIV as expired when we go to look at the list of the users that you have, is a very common finding in MORs. Some of the reasons somebody can be showing as expired are if they fail to do their annual or 6-month renewals, depending on what their role is, or if the user is actually no longer really active, but their access has not been terminated in the system. It's going to show as an expired user when we do your MORs, and that's a potential finding. HUD is very serious about EIV access. So there are a number of MOR findings that can arise from EIV. Some of the things that you can see as an issue are failure to adequately secure documentation. For instance, if files are out on the table with access available to anybody, if you are sharing or failing to protect user IDs and passwords, if you are disclosing information without consent, or failure to adequately control access, which means things like terminating people who should no longer have access to the system. When you are renewing access, there is a set time frame on that, and some of this has been misunderstood and misinterpreted by some of the owner agents. Users should be doing an authorization form online every 6 months. It's a pretty quick process. You just go into the EIV system and click authorization form. It comes up, you submit the information, and then your coordinator will approve each user. But users should be doing that every 6 months. You are prompted in the EIV system to sign the rules of behavior. So that will pop up when it's due, and you should be printing that page when it pops up so that you can document that, yes, indeed, that was done every year. And then there may be other forms per company policy that you're going to want to do every year. For instance, some companies have a signing sheet for their particular procedures. So you also want to be following what your corporate policy is in terms of what needs to be signed every year. And you want to make sure that you are doing your security training and putting that certificate into your EIV binder or folder, however you store those. Coordinators only have to do their authorization form yearly. And after that initial handwritten one, it's all done on. Here's what we want to see in EIV for the MOR when we come to review your files and your EIV binder. For your users, you want the current user form and the original handwritten user form. So the current one is going to be a printout of what you did on the web page. The original one is going to be the handwritten original UAAF that was filled out. A current rules of behavior, a current cyber awareness. So that cyber awareness or cybersecurity is going to be dated within 12 months. Any additional documents that the owner agent requires as part of their policy, and proof of termination for any inactive users. For coordinators, the single biggest thing you need to make sure is in that file is the owner authorization letter. And remember, if your management company has changed recently, or if there is a new coordinator, you need to make sure there is an owner authorization letter for accessing that system in your EIV documentation. For your coordinators, what you're going to want to see in that file is the owner authorization letter. That is the most important thing that you can have. That is permission from the owner to access the EIV system on their behalf. And remember, if the management company has changed recently or the particular coordinator has changed recently, you're going to want to make sure that there is an updated owner authorization letter in that file. They're going to put in their current electronic coordinator form and their original, the handwritten coordinator form, current rules of behavior, current cybersecurity training, and any documents that are part of the owner agent's policy on EIV. Some companies will have every user and coordinator sign acknowledgement of the individual policies. So if that's the owner agent policy, that also needs to be in there. And proof of termination for any coordinators who are inactive and may still show on the system. So here are the steps to unassigning roles. And I will show you in a minute, there is a document that will walk you through that process that HUD has provided. But the basic steps are that you go in and go to user maintenance. You're going to search for the individual, and that brings up the maintain user page. And then you're going to change status, submit. You can assign or unassign roles. If you unassign all the roles, that means they have no access to the system. You're going to confirm what you're doing. And it's a really good idea to print that page once you've done it, so that if there's any issue, you can demonstrate to the file reviewer that you did what you were supposed to do. So this is what that screen will look like when you're assigning and unassigning roles. You're going to search for the person. You can see the roles down at the bottom of the screen there. You're going to click them to either check or uncheck roles and then submit it. One thing that I will tell you is, although HUD's information tells you that unassigning roles is enough to terminate access, that doesn't always clear them in the EIV system. So sometimes, even if you've done that, they will still show when we pull up users as expired users that have not been terminated. So it's a really good idea to actually go through the process of terminating people in the system that don't have access. In that case, you're going to go in and go to that same area, user maintenance, search for the person and change their status to terminated, submit that. And anytime you're doing either of these, go in and search for users to make sure that that process took, and you can print the page that shows their access as terminated and put that in the file. Most important thing you can do when you're doing this stuff is document and verify what you have done. HUD is going to tell you the termination must be done promptly. Typically, your EIV policy will detail exactly how termination of access is going to be handled. Most of those policies will say we are going to terminate inactive users within X days. So you want to make sure that you are following those timeframes, and keep copies. Print out the page that shows the user's access terminated, document with notes what your efforts were, who did it and when, and confirm whenever possible. For instance, if it's a user that is still with your company but perhaps doesn't need to access EIV any longer, have them try and log in again to confirm that their access has been terminated. If for any reason after you've gone through all the steps they are not showing as inactive or terminated, reach out to the help desk. Documenting all of these efforts could potentially make the difference between something that's a finding for you not having done what you should have, to a comment because you did undertake those efforts and for whatever reason the system isn't working properly. If all else fails, if you have done everything that you're supposed to do and they're still not showing as terminated in EIV, reach out to that HUD help desk. You can call or email them. You do sometimes see long hold times when you call, so you may want to just email them. The number and the email address are on your screen now. It's also listed in the HUD EIV system, but sometimes a little hard to find that information. So it's going to be REAC_TAC, TAC at HUD.gov. They are usually pretty quick to get back to you. And you can always reach out to them and let them know what the issue is, and they can help you walk through that and make sure that the status is showing appropriately. For MOR purposes, be sure to keep notes and documentation of all of your efforts to resolve any issues. When it comes to EIV, HUD has a WAS users manual, which walks through a lot of this stuff. It's in the React section of their website. You could do a search on the internet for WAS, WASS user manual, and that should bring it up. The great thing about this manual is it has numerous screenshots to help you walk through the system and figure out what you're supposed to be doing on what screen. I always love screenshots. It's always very helpful, especially if you're not used to working in a system. And that is going to do it for terminating user access in EIV. What would you like to see on our next Tuesday tip? We always love to hear from you in terms of making these more helpful and what you would like to see. You can email Vicki Bell or you can email me at our email addresses. You'll see those come up on the screen. And please feel free to reach out if you have questions or suggestions. That's going to do it for today's Tuesday tip, and we'll see you on the next one.